Well, hello. Happy Wednesday and welcome to Fast and Fun Projects with Noreen. I'm Noreen. If we haven't met before, I'm very happy to meet you. My name is Noreen Smith and I am the Product Development Creative Manager for Creative Memories. And it's my pleasure to be with you here each and every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central Time. And hopefully in North America, of course, we switched over from daylight savings time. So hopefully you've adjusted and you're on regular standard time. I know Australia was switching over a while back. So again, it's always so confusing, but hopefully you are here and you are in the right place. Some of you are watching on the Creative Memories Facebook group, the Virtual Crop Facebook group, and some of you are joining me on the YouTube channel, the Creative Memories YouTube channel. And I'm just waiting to see some comments coming in here. There we go. I'm seeing Mary. I think she is on YouTube. So thanks for joining me, Mary. And a bunch of other gals joining in as well. There's Judy from Boston. Good evening. Good evening. It's good to see you guys as well. I always mention that if you're watching on Facebook, you'll want to make sure you go over and like and subscribe the Creative Memories YouTube channel. And if you ring the little bell, you'll always get a notification as to when we go live or when there's a new video posted. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you head over to Facebook if you use Facebook and request to join the Creative Memories virtual crop group because, of course, not only do we do fast and fun projects, but we do virtual crops. And this weekend, it's going to be very exciting. Hello, everybody. Colorado's here, Oregon, fellow Canadian from Peterborough. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Texas is here. Someone from Manitoba. I'm guessing it might be a friend of mine. Good morning from down under, from Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, California, Maryland. There's Nancy from Kentucky. And someone's joining us from Kauai. Oh, I'm sure the weather is great there. I always touch base with you on the weather because I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And we're in the middle of a deep freeze, minus 22, minus 23 degrees Celsius. And I think it was yesterday that there was basically one other place in Antarctica that was colder than some of the cold spots here in Alberta. So we are freezing. It would be lovely to be on a beach somewhere. Puerto Rico's here, Knoxville, Tennessee, New Brunswick, Canada, Davis Junction, Illinois, Clarksville, Tennessee, Ohio, Ottawa, Brisbane. So many people joining in. It makes my heart happy to see you all. Well, today we are going to get back to basics. You might have seen in the description for today's live that we're going to focus on the square and circle punch because I was thrilled to see them come out because I think square and circle punches should be in your craft room, your storage, wherever you keep them, because they are so versatile. And I know that there was a lot of discussion about, I don't know if I need that punch, but I'm here to tell you that you do, and it's one of the only things that you'll need. So I want to actually do a little bit of a comparison with some of the other Creative Memories circle and square punches that you may have already in your stash and show you how this particular new one fits with that. And I know that there's been some great graphics and posts shared by CM Advisors. A gal right here in Calgary, Sue, shared a great graphic that showed all of the different sizes. But if you haven't seen that, I'm going to start off by sharing those. Then I'm going to tell you what the basics I would take maybe to an evening crop or a day crop, something like that, where I had a few hours to work on some projects and I really wasn't sure what I'd be doing. Then I'm going to show you some projects, and then we're going to end up by creating some cool embellishments with the circle and the squares, okay? I always get this question. Diane on YouTube is asking, where did you get the inserts from for your shelves? I have IKEA Kallax units behind me. Because I'm in Canada, I buy my inserts from Onslow's Inside Out Services, which is a kind of a local company here in Alberta. I know that they are very similar to Stamp and Storage in the US. So if you're looking for things to house your CM punches, your paper, your pens, your border maker cartridges, Onslow's Inside Out in Canada, and Stamp and Storage in the US. All right. Okay, let me flip you over to my table here. And I've just got, again, this comparison here to start with so that we can just really be aware that there are so many different sizes of circles. Now, of course, if you have your circle cutter or your custom cutting system, circle templates, you're going to be able to make more. But these are so handy to have. So if you might remember these really old shape makers from old CM, I still have them. They still work great. They get a little stuck occasionally, but I am never going to give them up. As long as they are working, I'm never giving them up. So they are 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch, and then the larger size is 1 1/4 and 1 1/2. Then our new circle punch that just came out last week is 1 3/4. And then some of you might even recall the old, this was the old circle maker. See, it's always a pain to get it together, but again, I like to keep it because I can use that and interchange the cartridges. So the old shape maker with the interchangeable cartridges, that one measures 2 inches. So I've got this lovely kind of staggered collection of all of these circles. So this was the one that was really kind of missing. So I am just absolutely thrilled that CM chose to make the circle and the new square punch 1 3/4 inches. So same with the squares. They went from smallest to largest in these two shape makers. 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch, and then up to 1 1/4 and 1 1/2. Our new one is 1 3/4, and there's the old interchangeable cartridge there, and that is 2 inches. So again, you know, you did have some good layering there, but that just completes the set. So if you have any of these in your stash, in your tool stash, you will want to make sure that you pick up the new ones. So that is something that we're going to be playing with. Let me get these all out of the way. But I wanted to show you because I know that that will come up as to, you know, why do I need it? Why do I need a circle punch? Well, you need it because it completes your set if you've got the old ones. But we're going to talk about how useful and versatile these two punches really are. Okay? So again, I'll just remind you that they are 1 3/4. But what can you do with the circle punch? Well, what can't you do? So I challenged myself to use the 2 new punches along with the corner rounder, because sometimes I don't think the corner rounder gets enough love. I love it. So I'm going to use the corner rounder. And I'm also pulling out my 12-inch trimmer because, of course, you know, for cutting paper, etc., you pretty much need that. Now, I was going to pull out my new color change limited edition, special edition birthday week one. But you know what? I thought I'd show you all of our basics just in case you haven't got the color change one yet. And then the only other thing that really, you know, I would use that I would consider basics, our multi-purpose tool, our all-purpose scissors, tape runner, maybe repositionable, but you know what? I don't know that I'm going to need repositionable because my tape runner is going to work just fine on some of these larger shapes. But then an essential, I think, is foam squares. So that is what I'm using today. Those are my basics. Okay, paper trimmer to cut your paper into strips. If you really had to, you could cut your photos with it, but again, that's not recommended for the long term. Not only does it not work as well for your photos as the personal trimmer, but it will dull your blade a little bit. So, but in a pinch, you know, you could use that, or you could use your scissors. 2 punches, which is what we're going to focus on, and adding a little bit of variety with our corner rounder. Okay, and I am going to be using, because it's absolutely beautiful, the Polar Lights collection. These colors are just absolutely stunning. And I could have several of those cut apart sheets because, You could just make so many great pages with these. So I'm going to be using the Polar Lights paper pack, and you're also going to see some of the shapes punched from the Totally Tonal Winter, which again, you can see that just complements so beautifully, but has a really pretty sort of lace and floral design. So a little bit of a different look, but will complement the Polar Lights, just absolutely beautiful. And then we are going to pull out some of the embellishments. I've got some embellishments here, a few of the flock borders left, the mat cards, and the stickers. So we will use the rest of the collection, but really we're not going to use too much of it. Okay, so let's get right on into it here. We're going to talk about 4 different sort of ways that we're going to use our circle and squares. And the first one is with some backgrounds. And remember, you can do this with your circle or your square because they're both going to be the same size. So here I've just created, kind of a frame style base page, and I've got 5 rows of 5 different punched squares. And I've just created that really pretty background. If you didn't have a frame style background, the 1 3/4 inch size will give you, or will allow you, to have 6 across a 12 by 12 inch page. So you can do 6 up, 6 across. Okay, but I thought this looks pretty with the, this is the Island Waters cardstock, and it goes so beautifully with all of these sort of, northern skies and, the teal and turquoise colors of the snow. So that's really, a very basic way to use them. 25 squares, punch them out of different papers, arrange them on your page. Now, what can you do with that? Well, let's come in with a couple of photo spots. Okay, so I've got 2 4x6 mats cut from the Island Waters, and that would mean that my photos would be 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. I've just trimmed them. I would just trim them down just a little bit. So on this background, you could do so many different things. You could arrange your photos very symmetrically, very, aligned with the sides. I always love to do a little bit of a, angle just to make some dynamic movement there. But you could do it with the vertical photos or with horizontal. So you can get quite a few photos on there. You can even add some more small ones. So I'm just going to kind of place mine here, kind of like that. And then I might think about adding one of those beautiful flocked borders. So I'm just going to pull that fun little snowy polar bears border here. And if you haven't seen the flocked borders, I know you're not going to be able to see this on camera, but they have a beautiful flocked texture to them, and it just makes them really, really rich. So I'm just going to place that over that bottom row of the squares. And then those squares just become a nice background. So it really just, it doesn't take away from the border. It just kind of creates a nice sort of supporting element for it. And then I could come in here with something like, we've got my little polar bears. Maybe I'm going to add them up there. And then maybe just Winter Wonderland. I could just add a title here. Okay. Now, I do want to point out that one thing that I like to do occasionally, let me see where I put them, but don't forget that you could actually punch your squares and circles from some of your lined paper. So I've got a couple of different versions here. Here's the circle and square cut from the white lined paper. This is the Spargo, and this is the natural. So if you wanted to, you could replace one of your journal boxes, one of your squares here with a piece of the lined paper punched into a square. And now you've got a fun little journal box there. And you don't even have to, add anything in. So that's a really easy way, you could have your background created, add your photos, and then a border, a title, and just maybe one embellishment. You really don't need a ton of embellishments because all of the visual interest comes from all of the paper paper pieces. So it's absolutely gorgeous. Let's just see how versatile this could be. Let's do a different border. Okay, so let's take this off. And what about, let's do, oh, here they are. I knew I had the skate somewhere. So I've got actually, we were talking about journals here, but I've actually got one of the small journal boxes. So I could just place that on top, and I'd just be kind of mindful about, where it overlaps, for example. And then I could put my 2 photos there. And then maybe I've got, I want a little bit of an emphasis for my little embellishment that I want to add. So I just have a navy circle here. So I might just put that off to the side here and then just sort of overlap my embellishment. And then I could overlap my title over here. And then I've still got lots and lots of room down here for my journaling. And of course, we could do it sideways too. Let's do a horizontal version. So let's do that. And then maybe let's just have this coming out here. And then we can tuck the circle in behind just to set off that little skate embellishment. Otherwise it might get lost. So it's nice to have some solid squares and circles as well. And then we can do Frosty Fun just at the bottom of the little journal box. So, the same background has a different feel depending on how you arrange your photos and then what kind of embellishments you put on top. Whether you use a little journal box and a title and an embellishment, or you add a border. So I love that a background is one of the easiest ways, and so quick as well, to really get the most out of your squares. And of course, I went ahead and cut these squares or punched these squares from new papers. But isn't that a great way to really stretch your scraps, right? Go through your scraps, find some in some colors that work together with your photos, and just get punching and get arranging. Okay, so that is our background. All right, let's go ahead and talk about borders. So as I mentioned, I had 5 across in the frame style page that I just showed you. But here's what it looks like with 6 circles across your page. So again, you could do them, up and down vertically, or you can do them horizontally. And here again, we can add whatever else we need. If you want to replace one of these with a lined circle for a little bit of journaling, you can certainly do that. And there's the white one too. So you can see you've got lots and lots of options. So let's go ahead here, and I love this little border with all of the cute cups of hot cocoa and maybe coffee and lattes and things like that. And I think something like that would look great just kind of right on top of these borders. You could overlap them just a little bit, just to kind of have that delineation. And of course, popping them up with some foam squares, that really sets it apart, and it creates a bit of a shadow and creates that sense of dimension. So I could use that one border, and then I could bring in a couple of photos. And again, just like with the other ones, I've punched or cut the photo mat to 4x6. So these photos would also be 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. Okay, and I can really arrange those anywhere inside here. I could do a couple of overlapping photos like that. I could angle them like we did in the other layout, and I can also get some more small photos in here. But because when I looked at the mat pack for this particular collection, there's this fun little title card that says Warm Winter Wishes. And it's got my little cup of hot cocoa as well. So I can just bring that in, and really that layout could be done. But I love the fact that these little circles can be homes for your embellishments. So we've got a really cute little die cut. Maybe that's going to go in there. Let's pop that up on a foam square. And then, as I said before, you know, maybe one of these is actually going to be for my journaling. And I can, you know, stagger my, maybe another little title across some of these ones down here. And each of the little circles becomes that home for something to live in. So I can add embellishments. I could add some of these gems, you know, a little gem in each circle would be really cute in a contrasting color. I could if I had additional punches, but remember, I'm going back to basics. I'm really just using what I've got here. So maybe I'm going to use some of these small little snowflakes, and they're going to just kind of live in one of these circles. I know that there was some more fun little mugs, so I could get a whole extra row of the little cups. You know, maybe I'm just going to kind of add them to these spaces here. So I could have one for my journaling. Let's make this one for my journaling because I've got 4 cups. So I could just put an extra cup on 4 of my, sorry, I'm just trying to get a foam square there. I could put an extra cup on 4 of my little circles at the top. I could put my title up here as well, or down here, wherever I like. And then as this is popped up, you can see that that's going to be a really fun layout. And again, really fast too. I'm just punching 12 circles, adding them across the top and the bottom, and then pulling in a coordinating border, a couple of photos, and a few extra embellishments. Okay, so again, that would be really cute to add some of these little gems to the circles. So each of these little circles can be a home for other embellishments. So I love that. Okay, so we've done backgrounds, we've done borders. Now, the nice thing about the circle and size and square size at 1 3/4 is it works really, really well for card design as well. So here, I've just taken some squares and I've just folded up. Let me do it on one that will really show the contrast maybe. So I've taken it and I just folded one side up, and that's the piece that's here. One more in the center, and then an embellishment on the top. So this little card here was just made with 5 squares and a couple of pieces. And then you could do the same with circles. As you see, when you start adding some of the different circle pieces across, maybe 5 of them, and just kind of overlapping and changing up the colors, you get a really fun little card design. And then you can add one of your sticker sayings. How about something like snow happy, because it's another circle as well. So maybe we're going to kind of angle those a bit. So you can just, you know, punch out a bunch of circles and just play around with it. I think that would really make a cute little card. Let's get a foam square on here just to show you. And then we could finish off with some gems. Those gems, they're awesome. There we go. Put them off to the side. So it could be just a couple of little gems to pick up the colors. So they're perfect size to make a statement on cards. They're not too small to work with, but you're going to get a lot of kind of bang for your buck there. Okay? So backgrounds, borders, cards. Talked about all 3. But I want to talk, and the thing that makes me most excited about these squares and circles is the possibilities for a variety of different embellishments. Before we do that, actually, I just wanted to remind you that as you're punching as well, sometimes you get these really cool sort of strips. So here's paper I just punched 6 circles out. This was alternating circles and squares, and then there's all the squares. This one got a little bit crooked, but you know, look at the negative space that you're leaving behind on your paper as well. This would be a great border to add. You could, again, add a bunch of little embellishments right inside each of the circles. You could add your letter stickers inside your circles. You could do so much. So don't forget to look at the negative space that you're leaving behind when you're doing your punching. Okay? It's kind of a little bonus that we get from punching. But I had so much fun playing around with what if. That's something I always like to say, and I always remind my customers and my friends, my former teammates, to think about what if. What if I try this? So I always encourage you to get some extra paper, some scrap paper, punch out a bunch of different things, and just play around with it. So let's go through how some of these little embellishments were made, because these are not stickers. They're not made embellishments. They were all made from the circle, the square, and the corner rounder. Okay, so let's go through them right here. So first of all, we've got this row of circles. And with the circles, I think maybe I'll get some solid circles as well, just so that we can have something to kind of make our base on. This is the baby blue. So I've got a couple extra of those. So for the first one, what I've done is I've taken the circle, folded it in half, and then actually I'm going to fold it in half the other way as well. Okay, so I've got it folded in half twice. Now I'm going to take my corner rounder and I'm going to put the flat side of the fold into the corner rounder itself. And you're going to have to kind of look at your corner rounder and figure out, where is a good place for you to make a mental note of how to go back and be consistent. So when you see on the top of the corner rounder, there's these little lines, little manufacturing marks. I'm going to put it in until the edge of my circle touches that crisscross line. I'm going to punch, and then I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing. Okay, and then I'm going to open up my circle and fold it back the opposite way and do the same thing. So I'm going to put that in, punch, and do the opposite side. So who says you can't use a corner rounder with a circle? So when you open it up, you get that pretty little sort of floral design. You can make it look like a butterfly by snipping it apart. Just snip those two pieces apart. Then you can kind of angle the pieces on your circle background. And then the little extra piece is actually just, where's my circle punch? It's actually just a little sliver. I've just inserted the circle back into the circle punch, and I'm just taking a little sliver. So I've sort of taken a bite out of my circle. Okay, so that's my little butterfly or circle. Similar is this one. So we're going to do the same kind of thing. We're going to fold this in half and then in half again. And instead of using the corner round feature, we're going to use the notch feature. So here again, you're going to have to look at yours. I'm going to use this center of this little screw as my, kind of stopping point so that I can be consistent. So now I'm going to put the flat edge into the notch space. I'm going to stop when the point goes to the little screw, the center of the screw, and I'm just going to notch it. I'm going to flip that over and do it again. Now I'm going to do the same thing as I did with the flower, and I'm going to flip it over or unfold it and then refold it. But I did want to let you know that this makes a great little tab. And you can see here that I've just taken another square and I've just folded that little half circle over top of the edge, and it really makes a great little tab topper. So if you have a mat card or a journal box, that kind of thing that you want to pull out of a pocket, this is a great little way to make a tab that you can just pull out. Okay, so that's just by doing it on by notching on one end. So I've unfolded and refolded. I'm going to slide it back in. I'm going to stop when I get to the middle of the screw on mine. You can make a little mark on yours as well if you want to be really consistent. And now when I open this up, it kind of has almost like a baseball, or I don't know if it's like a soccer ball shape, but you can see that it's got those cute little notches. So that's how I made this one. Now these two are similar. So remember when we were little and we would make little snowflakes. So I'm going to fold my circle in half. I'm going to fold it in half again. And if you find that you can't get a good fold, just use your multi-purpose tool, the flat end, and kind of use it to fold around. So for this little flower, all I did was snip. So again, this is the point. So the one fold there and the fold over here. So all I've done is snip a little triangle into the bottom and then a little bit of a triangle off to the side on each side. So it kind of looks like a little tent almost. And then when I open it up, I've got that fun sort of asterisk shape, or, you know, kind of a fun flower shape. And then for this one, instead of snipping large triangles, let's snip some small triangles, and we're going to get kind of a little sun pattern. So same thing, folded it twice, and now we're just going to go and snip little triangles all around the edge and right off the edge at the corners. Okay, and then it's always like a surprise when you open it up. It's so much fun. And I love doing this kind of thing, you know, and making something that will work and become a very sort of custom embellishment. Okay, so like a little sun or a little scalloped circle. All right, so those are all that style. And then this one is really just kind of the leftover from when we made the little piece that goes over the butterfly edge. So you can take a circle, and again, however much or little you want to sort of punch out, and then you can get like a moon shape. You can add a piece back in so it looks like you've got a stripe out of your circle. So many different things. Now these ones over here are also with circles, and I love the idea of using a circle as a bunting. So we often will rely on triangles when we do like a flag or pennant bunting, but just fold over your circles, and instead of folding them completely over, just fold them so that you get that little bit of the pattern that's on the inside showing. And then you can just fold them over and then match them edge to edge to create that sort of flag look. If you like, and if you enjoy adding, you know, things like thread or twine or ribbon, of course you can just open them up and lay the ribbon or twine there and then fold them back down. So I love that idea of using them for bunting. And then these two are just taking our scissors and cutting our circle in half. And you can certainly use your trimmer to do this, but you know, once you do it a few times, you get pretty good at, you know, eyeballing it. And then we're just taking two of them and adding them back onto the circle to create a bit of a pie sort of design. So that's that one. And then with those same four circles, we can actually create a bit of a different sort of looking design. So let's put the flat side down, and then we're going to flip it over and put the rounded side down. So just playing around with the actual shapes gives you a completely different sort of look. And again, you can do it with all of the same pattern. That looks kind of cool, actually. Looks like everything's been punched from that one piece. So I really like the versatility of these circles. Now, another thing, of course, you can combine your squares and circles. So this is literally a circle on top of a square. No need to show you that. This one is a circle cut in half and then the straight edges added to the sides of a square. Now, wouldn't that be a great border if you made several of those and then alternated them so that your your pattern becomes just a little bit different. So if we had this one, so upright and then sideways and then upright and then sideways, that would be a stunning geometric border that you could create. So I love that. And then don't forget that that corner rounder, the notches, make a great and beautiful base for any kind of little embellishment. And just a row of these on their own is a stunning border, just all the way along your page. And then again, just like we did, I don't know if I've got my little cups there, but you could, just put one of your little embellishments right in the center of those notched squares. Here, I've taken a square and I've corner rounded just two sides, and that becomes a great sort of, almost like a retro sort of ornament shape. I quite like that. And then, of course, if you round the other two sides, you get that rounded square. Turn it on its side, you've got a great little rounded diamond. And these are just more of our little sort of slices, our little circle slices. So I'll just do that one again. I've got a little piece here. So basically I'm just taking my little slice and putting four of them together to form a really fun little flower design in the center. Okay, so that's a good one. Now all of the rest of these are with squares, and again, squares, diamonds, whatever you want to look at them as, they are just so versatile. If you're in Canada, you might remember the Shreddies commercial. And of course, Shreddies are cereal, breakfast cereal that are squares. But all of a sudden, they started marketing them as diamonds. And truly, people were like, wow, what a great idea to make diamond Shreddies. But, it's just a clever marketing tactic, because, of course, when we cut a square from edge to edge, or corner to corner, sorry, we get two fantastic triangles. So a lot of these are made with the triangles. So this one's quite fun because it's almost like an extended pattern. So this is taking two of the squares, cutting them apart, and then we're going to put two squares opposite two triangles opposite each other like this. And then we're going to fill in the center with the other two to create a pattern. So again, what a great border that would be, just by going, keeping that style. Actually, maybe I'll just do them all with the same so you can see it. So we keep all with that sort of back-to-back style, and it's going to create almost like a striped border. Okay, so just cutting your squares apart and rearranging them, you'd get a really cool angled style border. Okay, you can also do a chevron. Now I've cut these ones down even more. So I've cut them in half once again. So I've got four triangles, but I'm just going to show you with the large size here. So you're going to place your triangles with the long edges together, and then you're going to take the other long edge and put it in between. And then you can just go ahead and go right across the page to create that chevron look. Okay, I'll take that off actually, and I'll put this one back together, just so you can see the patterns start to emerge. Let's do one more here. I had so much fun just playing around and thinking, how many different ways could I come up with using these squares? There's one more of that style. So that's what I mean. You can really get a lot of mileage out of just these few tools. You could keep yourself occupied for an entire weekend just making all of these different shapes. Okay, so there's our chevron. We've done this one. Now this one is literally just a square, and it's got two of the triangles that are cut smaller, just placed on top. And now we get that kind of look as if it's almost like it's transparent and there's something behind it. And similarly, if we put them together, but we take two different styles. Let's see. So we put we'll make a square out of 2 triangles, and then we'll take, I got to cut another one in half here. There we go. So then we'll take a small triangle of the opposite color and place it on the opposite square. So then we get, again, this two-tone dimensional sort of square. Now the border over at the side here, and I know we're almost done. We've been at it for about 40 minutes. See, you could do this for, like I said, the entire weekend, and you probably would not run out of ideas. But this border is fun because you've taken the square, cut it into the diamond, and then just corner around the one short corner. And then as you move down your border, you can just turn them opposite each other and then leave the space, and you get a really fun sort of snaky, sort of zigzag, very organic type of border pattern coming through. Okay, so you can just continue that all the way down. This one is 2 half circles just folded. So basically just taking them and kind of doing a bit of an accordion fold. You could do it however way you like, whichever way you like. But just kind of folding those into a bit of a fan or an accordion and placing it on top of a square. And then I think the only other one we haven't talked about is the pinwheel. So the pinwheel is, again, 1 square. I'm going to cut it right before your very eyes. 1 square cut into 4 triangles. And then it's all in the way you rearrange it. So I like to start with one, right angle that way. And then basically you're turning it 1/4 turn. So if you think of it that way, oh, and let's switch it over with the color too. So just we have a little bit of variety. Let me do it on the white here so you can see it. Okay, so there we go. Switch it 1/4 turn. Switch it 1/4 turn. I'm going to flip that one and then switch it 1/4 turn. So there's your little pinwheel shape. And again, you could put that on a larger square if you like. But I think it's just so much fun to just have a couple of pieces of paper, punch, as many as you can, and just think, what if? That's always my sort of mantra, to find out what I could do with them. And make yourself a little display board like this with all of these different ideas on it, so that you can come back, when you're, thinking, what am I going to do with these squares and circles? And then you'll have a whole little sort of reference board, so that you can use those on your layouts. So whether you, start with your borders like this, or whether you make all of your circles into different little shapes, it's just so much fun to just play with those tools, some paper, and really just get back to basics and just have fun with it. I know that many of us love to scrap lift layouts, and we need specific tools sometimes for scrap lifting, but these basic tools will take you so far and will allow you to really create some original and unique and really custom looking embellishments. Like I said, I think this one is one of the ones I think would look fantastic as an alternating border. But I could see, doing a little different shape inside each of your circles all the way across a page. And how fun would that be, to have all of your little different cutouts. And then your circles really will steal the show, and then your photos will just be that crowning touch in the middle. So I love it. I absolutely love it. And I had so much fun playing around with these guys. So let me bring you back here and we'll say goodbye. I'm sorry I kept you for so long. I could go on. I think I could play with circles and squares for, another couple of hours here. So I would love to see what you guys come up with. If you have, even if you don't have the 1 3/4 inch circles and square punches yet, maybe you've got them on order, or maybe you saw tonight and you thought, oh, I need them, and you're going to order them. But, whatever squares and circles that you do have in your tool stash, punch a bunch of scrap paper out and play with all of the different ways that you can use those circles and squares for full layout backgrounds, for borders, for cards, and then even for custom embellishments. Okay? All right, I'm going to try and go back afterwards. All of the comments are just coming in really, really quick there. But I'll try to go back through the comments and see if I can spot any questions. So if I didn't see a question while we were going through today, I will definitely try to respond to you in the comments. Now, next week, there is no supplies checklist for next week because it's going to be a pre-recorded video next week. I will actually be traveling, so I won't be able to be with you live, but I'm already planning ahead, and I've got some really fun things for you. And I'm allowed to tell you this. We are going to make our projects next week with some exclusive, limited edition, never before seen products that may or may not be launching next week. So when you see me next Wednesday, I'll be playing with some brand new products. So it's going to be lots of fun. And just so you kind of have an overall idea, I'm going to be sharing a layout with you. I'm going to be sharing an easy pocket page, multi-pocket page layout with you, and a border. So those 3 projects with some beautiful new exclusive limited time products. So you're not going to want to miss out on it. Okay, so make sure that you mark your calendars for next Wednesday, which will be Wednesday, November 16th, 5 p.m. Central Time. And again, either in the Facebook virtual crop, the Creative Memories virtual crop Facebook group, or on the Creative Memories YouTube channel. Okay, so make sure that you're subscribed over there, you've joined the Facebook group, and then you shouldn't miss it. Oh, and I did get lots of questions. Yes, you can see all of the previous Fast and Fun projects as well. You'll find them in the same playlist on YouTube, and then when you're in the Facebook group, just look up at the top sort of menu bar and look for videos, and you should be able to find them there as well. Okay, so if you missed us in previous weeks, you can always go back and check. Okay, just looking at my notes here, making sure I've covered everything. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Like I said, it was a little bit longer than usual, but just so much that we can do with those fantastic circle and square punches. Mine are not going anywhere. They're going back up into my my organizers there, and they will be staying there, and I will be reaching for them often. All right. Have fun with your circle and square punches this week. I can't wait to see what you come up with. And I will see you live in 2 weeks, but make sure to tune in next week for the pre-recorded video. All right. Thanks very much for joining me, everybody. See you soon. Bye for now.